While many people still believe cheap cosmetics mean poor quality, 8 items at Dollar Tree are quietly doing the opposite, and quite a few people who tried them have stopped buying high-end brands. You rock if you subscribe and like this video. 1. Phytoceramides Facial Mist by Revive RX. Picking up this $1.25 spray bottle, you would not think much of it. The label reads Revive RX, a totally unfamiliar name that is easy to pass by, mistaking it for just a regular toner like many other bottles on the shelf. But flipping it over to read the ingredient list makes you pause, because the very first line that catches your eye is phytoceramides, the exact same name skincare enthusiasts whisper about when mentioning The Ordinary's natural moisturizing factors, a cream in a jar online that can hit the $52 mark. Place the two side by side. One is a thick formula you have to scoop with your finger, while the other is a spray format that is much more convenient for a quick midday refresh without touching your face. The main ingredient groups almost completely match, differing only in packaging and a price gap of about $50. Recall the last time you sat in the car for an hour with the AC blowing straight at your face, waiting to take care of something out in the hot sun. Your skin starts to feel tight and slightly irritated, which many do not notice until looking closely in the mirror at home. This bottle handles that exact situation. Spray a thin layer onto your face. No wiping or patting is needed. Just let it air dry. The same bottle is useful in a different way in the morning. Spray before makeup to help powder blend more smoothly. An Ohio woman shared in a shopping group that she bought 3 bottles assuming it was just for temporary cooling. Surprisingly, after finishing the first bottle, her typically flaky cheeks became completely soft, something the thick cream she had used for years could never achieve. If your skin is prone to reactions, you should test it first on your wrist or behind the ear, waiting a day to check for anything unusual before spraying it directly onto your face. Right next to it sits a tiny bottle that shopping group members jokingly call the secret oil, because almost everyone who uses it hides where they bought it. 2. Dermacil Face Serum Oil. Every drugstore has Dermacil, usually sitting next to the thick body lotion tubs people buy when winter arrives. Few notice they also put out a separate face oil line, sitting modestly on the Dollar Tree shelf for $1.25, with Virgin Marula printed right at the top of the label. That ingredient name is no stranger to beauty enthusiasts. It is the exact thing that made a name for Drunk Elephant Virgin Marula Luxury Facial Oil, which sells for $36 at Sephora. Try applying both to the back of your hand at the same time. The absorption and softness after a few minutes are nearly identical, while that $35 price gap only exists on the receipt and shows nowhere on the skin. The dry winter season is when this bottle is mentioned most in Reddit skincare groups. When facial skin flakes in patches and regular moisturizers fail to work, many report that just a few drops of this oil soothe the rough areas without leaving the heavy, oily shine that once made the Drunk Elephant bottle frustrating. In the evening, after cleansing, drop 1 drop into your palm and gently pat it onto both cheeks. The area where skin is thinnest and tends to feel driest as aging gradually thins the epidermis, letting it tightly hold the moisture of the night cream underneath, fulfilling its role as the final moisture seal before turning off the lights to sleep. Come morning, that same bottle switches to a different job. Dab it lightly onto the corners of your eyes before makeup, or save the rest for cracked heels after a long day in closed shoes. One small bottle doing the work of 3 or 4 different jars is the real reason to keep it on the shelf, not just because it is cheap. During the first week of testing, apply it every other day to see how your skin reacts first. If your skin is acne-prone or naturally secretes a lot of oil, consider this step carefully, as adding more oil to skin that already has enough can sometimes make things worse rather than improving anything. 3. Watermelon Glow Up Gel Primer. Applying foundation in the morning looks smooth in the mirror, but by noon, the powder has settled completely into the smile lines at the corners of the mouth and the wrinkles on the forehead, as if intentionally making you look several years older in the middle of the day. This is an experience every woman over 50 has had, though rarely talks about, because this makeup mistake is very easy to notice, even when you have been careful with every step. This watermelon gel layer solves exactly that problem, and it goes to work before the foundation even touches the skin. The grip is fine-tuned just right. Not too sticky, not drying too fast. Exactly like the signature tacky finish that made a name for e.l.f. Power Grip Primer, which sells for $11 at Target or Walmart. It is just enough to keep the base layers sitting perfectly in place for 12 hours, from breakfast with the family to evening church service, without needing to pull out a powder compact to touch up midway through. The price is $1.25 for a tube that lasts several months if you only need a thin layer each time. At the drugstore, the Power Grip bottle with the same function is priced at $11. In the freelance makeup community in the US, this Dollar Tree tube is mentioned quite a bit as an option that is almost completely equivalent to that famous $11 tube, and any difference, if it exists, is hard to notice with the naked eye once it is on the face. The watermelon scent is light, does not linger long, and does not bother people sensitive to smells. Apply a thin layer after the moisturizing step, wait about 1 minute for the gel to set, and then apply foundation. Skipping this waiting step while the gel is still sticky on your hands will cause the powder to stick unevenly, leaving it blotchy instead of smooth as desired, which is the most common mistake for first-time users. A woman in Georgia shared in a bargain hunting group that she used to spend $11 on Power Grip, which would run out after a few months of use, and then happened to pick up this watermelon tube while buying a few miscellaneous items at the Dollar Tree. Her face that day held up just as long as the brand name product, and she recounted the story half laughing and half regretting that she had only just found out about this item. The thing worth calculating carefully is not just the price difference of a single purchase, but the whole year added up. Buying Power Grip 4 times a year is nearly $44 for primer alone. Buying this $1.25 tube 4 times a year costs less than $6 for the entire year, and the remaining money is enough for you to buy a few other items without second thoughts. Right next to it is another product whose texture immediately makes people think of a cosmetics line that has been causing a sensation all over social media for the past few years. 4. Rice Water Milky Toner. I'm From Rice Toner costs $28 a bottle at Ulta, and Korean skincare enthusiasts consider it almost a mandatory ritual in their cabinets. With the same liquid milky formula from fermented rice and the same alcohol-free promise, Dollar Tree sells it for $1.25, over 20 times cheaper. Yet, when squeezed onto your hand, the liquid flows out almost indistinguishably, with the same consistency, the same opaque white color like diluted milk, and the same cool sensation upon touching your skin. The old-school alcohol-based toners that many people are still used to often dry out the skin even further instead of soothing it, which is the reason many women feel their skin becoming tighter and more irritated over time despite applying it regularly every day. This bottle goes in the exact opposite direction, with a milky texture from Rice brand that locks in moisture instead of stripping it. Place the 2 bottles side by side and look. One side has an outer shell printed with luxurious Korean letters, a thick paper box, and even a wrapper layer like a gift. The other side is a simple white plastic bottle with nothing to show off. But squeezing both bottles out onto your hand, the liquids flow out with the same consistency. Reading the ingredient list printed on the back, rice extract stands near the top of the list on both bottles. The different part only lies in a few fragrances and secondary preservatives, things that do not determine whether your skin soothes or not. In the evening, use it for gentle cleansing after the makeup removal step, soaking a cotton pad to wipe across the entire face. In the morning, use it in a completely different way. Pat it directly with your hands instead of a cotton pad, creating a thin, moist base layer before applying moisturizer so that everything that follows absorbs faster and more evenly. There is no need for an extra 7 layers of Korean-style skincare to get hydrated, healthy, glowing skin. Just this exact step alone is enough to see a clear difference on the cheekbones. It has no strong scent and is not sticky or greasy, like a few other cheap toners that once turned people off and left them abandoned in the back of the cabinet. Using up 4 bottles of this type in a year costs less than $6. 4 bottles of I'm From at that same frequency eat up $112. That difference is enough to buy a few other skincare items without having to think much. The thing that needs to be said straight out is that any toner is only a supporting step and cannot replace a main moisturizer. If your skin is suffering from severe dry cracking, using only this toner will not be enough. You need to combine it with a thick cream afterward, rather than expecting a $1.25 bottle to solve all moisture problems. 5. Niacinamide 5% plus squalane serum. Dark spots on your cheeks will not fade on their own just because you patiently wait. You need the right active ingredient and the right concentration. 5% niacinamide is the #1 dermatologists often choose for sensitive skin. Strong enough to gradually fade sun damage accumulated over the years, but it does not cause burning or flaking like the 10% versions currently flooding the market. This Skin Nutrition Botanicals bottle costs $1.25, and that unfamiliar name actually shares a formula equivalent to the ordinary niacinamide 10% plus zinc 1%, the $10 bottle that has become an almost mandatory introductory step for anyone getting serious about skincare. The concentration on this side is gentler, 5% instead of 10, but it comes with squalane, something that preserves skin elasticity, which the Ordinary's formula does not have built in. Flip the box over to read the ingredient list, and the order of ingredients is almost identical to other popular niacinamide lines. The only differences lie in a few percentages of secondary extracts and added fragrance, things that have nothing to do with whether the serum fades dark spots. There is one thing that must be said straight out before you run to the store to buy several bottles at once. Niacinamide, even at a gentle concentration like 5%, can still cause a slight sting or redness for those with highly sensitive skin or those using it alongside high-dose retinol. If your skin is prone to reactions, do not apply it to your entire face the first time. Test it on a small area under your jawline first, and wait a day or two to see if there is any reaction. Apply a few drops after washing your face and before your moisturizer. It can be used both morning and night without needing to avoid harsh sun exposure, unlike other active ingredients that require you to be careful every hour you go outside. One bottle lasts about 2 months if applied evenly every night. Buying 6 $1.25 bottles a year costs $7.50. Buying the ordinary bottle at that same frequency costs about $60 a year. That is a difference of over $50, enough for you to buy a few other skincare items and still have some left over. 6. LA Colors Cream and Powder Highlighter Duo. Patrick Ta Major Glow Cream and Powder Highlighter Duo sells for $40 at Sephora, enclosed in a heavy metal compact with an included mirror and raised lettering on the lid, looking luxurious from the very first touch. This LA The Colors compact costs $1.25, is made of thin plastic with no mirror, and looks like nothing worth noticing at first glance. But swipe the shimmer powder onto your hand and both blend evenly and smoothly, without caking or showing large particles like some other cheap highlighters commonly do. The light catching your cheekbones does not need to glitter like the shimmer powder children use. What is needed at this age is a soft, natural glow, enough to make the face look fresh in the sun without accentuating pores or wrinkles around the eyes. Something not every highlighter can do, no matter how expensive it is. The cream pan inside has a slightly moist texture that melts upon touching your finger, not stiff and dry like some other cheap cream highlighters. The powder pan is so fine that a light puff of air will send it flying, so you must be careful when opening the lid for the first time. Dab the cream onto the top of your cheekbones with your fingertip, gently patting it into the skin before applying setting powder. This is an important step because applying setting powder first will ruin the natural glow of the cream. If you want a more noticeable glow for an evening out dining or attending a party, use a small brush to sweep an additional layer of powder on top, right at the highest part of the cheekbone and the bridge of the nose. For dry skin, just the cream pan is enough to maintain moisture and glow all day. For oily skin, you should use the powder pan more because powder holds up longer over many hours without being washed away by skin oils. In online beauty groups for middle-aged women, this highlighter compact is mentioned so much that many jokingly call it the surprise discovery of the year, something no one expects to find at such a budget-friendly store. Some people even film videos directly comparing the two compacts side by side to prove that the difference is almost negligible, placing them under the exact same lighting and facial angle so viewers can see and judge for themselves. One compact lasts for many months if you only need a thin layer each time you do your makeup, unlike other highlighters that run out quickly because you have to use a lot to get the color to show clearly. But one thing to know before buying, a highlighter at this price does not come with a mirror like the Patrick Ta version. So if you often do your makeup on the go or do not have a large mirror at home, it will be a bit more inconvenient. Additionally, the shimmer powder is quite fine, so it easily flies around when opening the lid for the first time. Be careful not to get it on your clothes. That highlighter compact is not the only thing causing women to completely change their decades-old beauty habits. There is another item sitting right next to it that is cheaper, yet its effect is much larger than its size. That highlighter compact is not the only thing causing women to completely change their decades-old beauty habits. There is another item sitting right next to it that is cheaper, yet its effect is much larger than its size. 7. Be Pure Clean Beauty Brown Mascara. Be Pure is the line Dollar Tree frequently uses to dupe Too Faced Better Than Sex, the famous $29 black mascara featuring its signature hourglass brush that coats every single lash in one swipe. This brown version costs $5, belonging to the Dollar Tree Plus section, following that same dry wax formula but changing the color. And that color change is exactly what is worth talking about. A thick, jet black lash line used to be the beauty standard of your 20s. But at a certain age, that same dark black mascara makes the eyes look sharp and tired rather than radiant. Switching to brown, the lashes are still lifted and volumized as usual, but the face becomes noticeably softer, as natural as if you just blinked your eyes after a good night's sleep. Swipe it onto the lashes and the wax coats evenly from root to tip, without clumping or smudging, even after standing out in the sun all afternoon. After 12 hours of daily activities, looking closely under the eyes reveals none of the tiny black dust particles falling down that some other cheap types commonly have. One tube can be used for many different occasions, instead of having to buy each type separately. In the morning, going to the grocery store, just a thin coat is enough. For a midday family gathering, the eyes keep their soft look throughout the entire afternoon without needing touch-ups. At night, for a dining appointment, add another layer on top. The intensity increases slightly, but never goes overboard like black mascara used to do. Swipe from the lash root outward. No need for many layers because the brown color already creates a natural effect. Coating it too thickly will lose the lightness that is the strength of this shade. One thing must be made clear. Brown mascara is not suitable for everyone. For a very fair skin tone, or eyelashes that are already naturally pale, brown mascara can make the lashes look washed out rather than prominent. And at that point, traditional black remains the more logical choice. This item is best suited for anyone with medium to dark skin tones or eyelashes that are already naturally dark. One tube lasts about 3 months if applied evenly every day. Calculating 4 tubes a year, it costs $20. The Too Faced tube at that same frequency cost about $116 a year. That is a difference of nearly $100 each year, enough to pay for a full hair salon session without having to think twice. 8. XtraCare Body Balm Jelly Stick. Vaseline Body Balm Stick. A familiar twist-up stick at every drugstore is priced at $7 to $9 a stick. This XtraCare stick cost $1.25, featuring the same twist-up packaging format to glide straight onto the skin, without needing to touch the cream inside with your hands like traditional jars. Even the Vaseline version still requires you to rub and swipe over the skin to get enough product, while this stick glides on and is sufficient in one swipe, leaving hands dry and completely free of greasy residue to wipe off. The brilliance lies in changing the packaging format rather than making some complex formula. Dry elbows, cracked heels, and hard calluses on the palms after a day of gardening can all be treated with a single twist and glide motion. When finished, put the cap on and toss it into your bag. No opening jars, dipping fingers, and washing hands like the old way. In states with harsh winters, this stick frequently goes out of stock. Not because the supply is rare, but because the results are immediate. Skin that is just cracked from the cold wind is softened after a single application. So, buyers often grab multiple sticks at once to stockpile for the long winter ahead, avoiding the need to constantly run out to the store whenever they empty one. Toss a stick of lip balm into your morning gym bag. After working out, when your hand skin feels a bit dry and tight, pull it out to use right on the spot, without waiting to get home to dig through the lotion jar in the bathroom cabinet. You can take it along while grocery shopping too, keeping it in your purse. While standing in the checkout line, if you notice your hands are dry from the store's air conditioner blowing all afternoon, pull it out for a light application. Neatly done, and no one notices what you are doing. Buying 3 sticks at once costs less than $4. One stick lasts about 1 month if applied evenly every day, which adds up to 12 sticks a year costing $15. Buying Vaseline at that same frequency of use costs over $80 a year. That is a difference of over $65 each year. Enough to save and buy another dozen items without any further hesitation. Not every expensive item is better, and today's 8 items are proof of that. If you ever doubted that a high price equates to high quality, perhaps it's time to look back at your shopping habits a little bit.